Hey everybody, it's Brady from the Weather Forecast, and tonight we'll be doing a video on Major Hurricane Sam and briefly cover Tropical Storm Victor out in the eastern Atlantic. And without further ado, let's get started. I did not make a video the last couple of days just due to the fact there was no need to. The storm is likely going to go out to sea, and I'll show you here on the models. Boom. Actually, just show you on the National Hurricane Center website. The storm is forecasted. I'll slide this back here. Boom, boom. Forecast to go to sea. There's a slight chance it could recurve back into Newfoundland, but it doesn't look like that for now. So it should stay well to the east of Bermuda, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and it's not a threat for the East Coast, which is all good news. So it's going to be a powerful storm, but it's not going to be something we're going to have to worry about for any land areas in terms of direct impacts from the storm as any tropical nature. That is the good news. Now, quickly cover Victor. It is a 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm at 10:05 millibars. National Hurricane Center calling this to become an 80-mile-per-hour hurricane within 36 hours. I believe it's coming to be a hurricane within 36 hours and an 80-mile-per-hour hurricane within 48 hours in the most recent 11 p.m. advisory. And it could become a Category 1, Category 2 hurricane. It is a far south latitude, and it does have somewhat helpful sea surface temperatures. I think it's working with 27-degree sea surface temperatures around that range. So not crazy, but it's still 27, 28 degrees sea surface temperature I think it's working with. So still good enough to be able to intensify, and it could intensify into a strong hurricane. Can't rule that out. So that will be something we'll have to watch for. But it is not a threat to land at this point. Cabo Verde Islands should be well to the west of you, enough that we should not have to worry about that storm being a direct impact. But I'll show you some of the models here and why they allow the storm to intensify. Get here, and boom, 200 millibar wind. We can see it has good outflow. This is the most recent GFS even, so I'll get to use this for this storm. It has pretty good outflow, pretty light wind shear for the most part, and it's going to be able to use that to intensify. As you can see, this is depicting the wind shear at 200 millibars. From 18 hours from now at 2 o'clock. It's 18 hours from 8 p.m. So at 2 p.m. tomorrow, when it should start intensifying pretty significantly. Compare that to the last run. It's the same stuff. It was both indicating the storm to intensify with good outflow. So this should become around hurricane. This should become a hurricane according to the National Hurricane Center. But it likely won't become a major hurricane at this point. It does not look like it. Can't rule it out, but probably not. It should be a lower end hurricane compared to Sam, which we'll get to in a second, which we can see here on the western side of the screen. Sam currently, the difference in models over the last few days, the difference is what's allowed Sam to stay out to sea. As we can see the trough to the west, it's going to carry the storm and it's going to push it off to the north and east, and the trough is going to set up. You can see the trough right over that. You can see the jet stream right over Newfoundland, and when you see that, that's a good sign. It's not going to push its way. It's actually going to use that to steer the storm just to the east of that trough, and it's actually going to combine and become a pretty powerful extratropical storm. Where that happens, way too far down the line, but if that storm is to be able to become a pretty strong one, and it could hit Ireland or the northern United Kingdom, and it could be a problem for them in around 7 to 10 days. So something to keep an eyes on if you got any British friends or Irish friends out there. You could give them a heads up, but I don't think it's too early to say exactly what happened there, so not worth making any assumptions or making any conclusions for something that's not going to happen. But the difference is, see this trough, this upper level low, you can see it's centered pretty much over Maine. The difference is we go back all the way back to Thursday. The difference was the upper level low. The placement of Sam is pretty similar to what it is now, but the atmosphere is a lot different. The upper level low was centered right around New England and expected to dig farther south, and it could allow the storm to pinwheel kind of around that upper level low. And that's kind of the difference now. It's not forecasted to interact with that upper level low. In fact, it's not in a good enough position. In fact, now the trough it's just going to carry the storm pretty far out to sea, so it's not going to be something too much to worry with, which is the good news. And is currently, as I mentioned, Sam is a 145 mile per hour Category 4 hurricane. And what in the world? Here we go. 145 mile per hour hurricane, 940 millibar. It's been fluctuating in strength over the past couple days. Went down to Cat 3, went back up to Cat 4, and it's maintained Cat 4 strength. It's gone up and down from 140 to 130 miles per hour over the past day. Over the past 24 hours, it's managed to do that. But now, late tonight, it's managed to work its way up to 145 mile per hour, strong Category 4 hurricane, and it could near Category 5 status very well. And the National Hurricane is explicitly forecasting this to strengthen at least another 5 miles per hour, 115 miles per hour. Would not surprise me, though, if it's able to work its way up to a little bit stronger than that, as we're going to be working its way under 10 to 15 knot wind shear. Again, it's not always perfect. It doesn't always depict it, but we can see good outflow. If you look below that, you can see the wind, the stream flow below that, and you can see which way the outflow will kind of be working for this storm. A little bit higher level atmosphere than the surface here, so it's going to be able to use that. We can see this stronger wind shear to its northwest, so it will encounter that at some point. But it's been able to work its way under lower wind shear for most of the time, and still working its way around 10 to 15 knot wind shear at this point right now, and it should be able to work its way under that 10 to 20 knot wind shear over the next couple days, and should be able to maintain major hurricane status for at least the next 48 to 72 hours. And I will show you the storm does have pretty formidable deep ocean heat content. So basically, we're looking at how far down does that 80 degree Fahrenheit, around that 26 degree isotherm, how far does it work down below the surface? Because upwelling can become a problem sometimes, and just in general, the more deep ocean heat content you have, the more fuel the storm has to be able to work into that just below this. Because storms cause upwelling after, and if it can work some of that warmer water, it can pull into. It's going to keep pulling down and use that warmest water as fuel that it can to its max possibility, and it's going to use that to intensify, as Sam did in the Atlantic, in the more southeastern part of the Atlantic in the main development region. As it's now worked its way over the central Atlantic, we can see it's got more favorable actually ocean heat content than it did before. It's working its way into those yellows, into around this area right now, into those green and yellows, which are pretty favorable values. Anything you see here that is not dark blue, that's favorable for more than just a tropical system to form. It means that warmer water that is able to stay in a hurricane goes farther than just the surface, which is good fuel for a hurricane to have. And that is one of the things, along with that lower wind shear, that Sam is going to be able to have. Here's microwave imagery indicating after multiple eyewall replacement cycles over the past, some failed, some successful. This one was successful, though. It was able to intensify actually throughout the day. The aircraft recon indicating that, as it was 950 millibars earlier today, it's now 940 millibars, 942 millibars with a 20 knot wind reduction. Anytime they find wind in the eye, they typically lower it. Every 10 knots is a millibar. So I'm guessing they found that because they drop some samples, the pressure, and then with the wind, they make the reduction. Is how the National Hurricane does that. So I'm guessing that's what they found. But they found 138 knot winds, which was supportive of 124 knot levels in terms of the reduction at the surface. And they used that to upgrade it to 145 miles per hour. So this is a very powerful Category 4 hurricane that is not a threat to land, which is the good news, and should continue. There is no direct threats for the U.S. Right now. And down the line, we will have to watch for, if I show you this is a Chi anomaly, and basically it's looking at areas for potential for lower wind shear. It's basically locating areas for potential favorability for development of tropical cyclones. So combine that with lower wind shear and convection. That's a good combination to have for tropical cyclones to form, and we can see down the road the GFS is forecasting to become more favorable for tropical cyclones to form in the Caribbean location. So we'll have to watch for that for any October development, but nothing imminent, nothing to worry about right now. Just go about your business. Hopefully folks in Louisiana are trying to take care of themselves after Ida was absolutely devastating, and that was a very unfortunate event. So hopefully folks are recovering nicely down there, and we don't get a hurricane in Louisiana for the rest of the year. Please, no more hurricanes for Louisiana. The past couple of years, they've endured enough. I'm sure some of you Louisiana folks, yeah, y'all understand. It's been enough. But I hope y'all have a good night. Stay safe, and